Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy. Remember it so you don't have to. Hey everybody, it's January! You know what that means? Probably not, because I just made it up. It's Nickelodeon Month! With a groundbreaking notion. And what did this groundbreaking creation give us? Mostly British and Canadian shows. But we didn't care, it was on all the time! That is until evening when it would switch over to older adult shows on Nick at Night. But even those were so implausible and ridiculous that we enjoyed them too. But let's be honest, after a while there's only so many reruns and syndicated shows that they could run. So Nickelodeon finally made the logical choice to produce their own material. And what was the result? Kids love that kind of stuff, and this was one of the first cartoon shows to totally engross us in it. I mean, no other cartoon looked or acted a big dumb cat named Skimpy and an angry Mexican chihuahua named Ren.
You sick little monkey!
And the rest, in all honesty, is pretty much like talking to a kid on the ultimate of sugar highs.
Hey kid, what do you want to see on TV?
I don't know.
Have some candy.
I want to see a dog and cat dancing around like Jello. There was him.
One of the biggest controversies about the show, I don't know, that's none of my business. To be honest, I already talked about this show before in one of my countdowns, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But let's just say the show definitely knew how to capture the craziest side of our silliness. The more innocent time, where crawling babies were funny, men with purple hair was acceptable, and keyboard synthesizers seemed to take a nap. Or, you want me to do what on there?
They call it getting potty trained.
Actually, Oh, that's charming.
They can't make me. I'm gonna wear my diapers forever, and nobody is gonna stop me.
Don't worry, kid. When you get to be 80, you have to wear them again anyway. Speaking of growing up, I always imagined what these kids would look like when they eventually got older. I think everybody imagined that. Like, Chucky would grow up to be Garth, Tommy would grow up to be Paul G. Is it 2 pigs? Is it the inside of a woman's... What is that? Oh, it's the inside of a dog's mouth panting. Duh. Most horrifying creation that Nickelodeon Studios has ever produced. Do you? Do you?
Look, it's Doug Funny! Hey, Doug Funny, where's Patty Mayonnaise? Hey, Doug Funny, on the way to school? You're Doug Funny! You're Doug Funny! You're Doug Funny! You're Doug Funny!
Whoa! Excuse me, just having another one of my random psychotic episodes brought on by this very show. Luckily, I didn't take anyone's life this time. But with that said, this was a pretty lame show. I mean, the show was pretty much just about a kid who went to high school, and that's it. It was pretty much just about a kid who went to high school.
Adventure, oh?
Doug, or Doug Funny if you want to know his full name, has some very odd friends like Mosquito Valentine, Bud Dink, his dog Porkchop, and Patty Mayonnaise. What is up with these names? What, you didn't have room for Johnny Picture Frame? Larry Toilet Paper? Or Susie? He spends most of his time going after Patty Mayonnaise because, well, she looks pretty. And apparently that's all he needs.
Patty Mayonnaise.
She's just as bland as I am.
Also, what is up with everybody's skin color in this show? Did the town get infected by radioactive poisoning?
Yo, man, let me take care of this.
I never liked them blue people. On top of that, the music always sounds like it's literally farting out its soundtrack. Just listen. We're gonna need a faster tempo. Howard, more pork and beans.